Hi, my name is Rafael Zavala, and we're going to be talking about my project today, which is titled Interpretations and Perceptions of MTSS Implementation of Reform Change. I want to go over a couple of terms. We're going to be using the term culture change, reform initiative, school reform, change effort, reform effort to mean the same thing. And what we mean by that is a program to adapt or modify. We're going to be using the term fail or failure to mean change that did not last or was unsuccessful, and fidelity to mean to complete as intended. At issue is really simply that culture is very difficult to change. And as we can see, 70 to 90% of all culture change fails. So what we've noticed is this merging between the fact that it's difficult to change culture and that now education is undergoing what we call reformitis, which is a continual reform. Um, and these reforms are more and more tied to punitive measures. So this really helped me develop my first RQ, which is why do school reform change efforts fail? Related to this is trying to get at more of the micro level of reform change, which we're looking at a system, we're reforming a system. We notice that it requires really changing behaviors at the micro level. Many of the reforms, as we noticed in the literature, are often shut out at the classroom door. Because if a reform conflicts with a teacher's values, beliefs, self-perceptions, or sensibilities, or if there's not enough motivation for the reform, or if the reform does not solve a problem that is currently faced by the teacher, the reform effort will fail. So my second RQ is really about developing this understanding of how staff members interpret and perceive the implementation of MTSS reform change. And this is more of a micro level question. So some findings from the literature is we notice that there are very few studies that analyze teachers' perceptions as they are undergoing reform. Most studies tend to emphasize the motivation and the support that teachers get within the context of reform. And we notice that this is actually a big gap. Right? In the literature, there is something known as a policy to practice gap. In other words, from the creation, the theorizing of reform to the actual implementation, there is a big gap, right? And along with that is what we call the duplication and the bridging to scale or bringing to scale gap. Taking an idea and really making it bigger and duplicating it at different sites or in different classrooms has become very difficult. Just to give you some background with regard to this project, the district is currently participating in a state grant to develop MTSS. This district has an MTSS team, which we'll call the DMT. And the members attended 7 professional development workshops on MTSS. The DMT plans on rolling out the MTSS in 1920 at one pilot site, Hawk Elementary. And we're going to be using a trainer of trainer models, which means basically the site leads will be trained, and then those site leads will go and train the rest of the teachers. And they'll offer coaching and support. The DMT has also shared a rollout plan to all 14 district sites. Just to give some context behind that, in presenting the MTSS, the DMT has couched the MTSS within ESSA. And a lot of that has to do with politics. We wanted to make sure that the MTSS was not seen as something that the district wanted, but that it was really framed within the broader understanding of where ESSA is requiring all districts and state institutions to be. So the other thing is that we noticed that participants at Hawk Elementary,